2, 1. Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Jason J. Daniels show. Hope you're hanging in there. I am just trying to put the pieces together like the rest of you. What a weird night. It was really weird. I only slept like 4 hours, 5 hours. I had a lot of work to do yesterday. Obviously, I did 3 shows, which is so rare for me to do that many shows in a day, but I've done 2 in a day before. And we're all in a weird alternate reality right now. It's kind of staggering to think about where we're at. There is clearly evil forces in this world way beyond the United States. There are things that happen in other countries that do affect the United States we don't even know about. I do think the United States is too involved in other countries, but well, maybe I'm changing my tune on that because I used to think that, but after yesterday, in the aftermath of that, it is becoming very clear to me that what we do and our personalities in the United States, our political personalities, our politicians really do affect the rest of the world. We really do. And Charlie Kirk clearly was more powerful than I even realized. Now we're seeing the UK respond. The UK media, obviously, they're catching up because they're like a half day ahead or whatever. So we saw that happen, and we also saw Israel today respond, which is interesting. I'm trying to. I think I have a lighting issue. So stand by, guys. Let's see here. No, that's not working. Okay, maybe that's a little better. I'm my own producer, so so I got to do my own stuff here. Speaking of that, let me check my sound, make sure that I can be heard. We are live on X and YouTube and Rumble. So okay. Sounds like you can hear me okay. So you guys have already been absorbing the news. Clearly, if you go on X, it's everywhere. So I don't need to regurgitate anything for you, but I did want to do an update, kind of get out here and talk to you about things for the next half hour or something. So this morning, some significant developments that I do want to mention. But before that, I want to ask the Democrats a question. Hey, Democrats, is crime still down? Remember, crime was down for 2 weeks. Crime still down? I don't think so, but I'm waiting for your fake statistics. I'm waiting for more of that. So the first development I want to announce is crime is clearly not down when there's a public execution of one of the most famous pundits, activists. You can call him a politician. He's clearly was a politician. But crime is not down when we are publicly executing our political opponents. Newsflash, maybe that'll help wake you up. So if you're a local politician and I challenge you because of your fake crime stats on your Instagram, please just shut the fuck up because you're a liar. You're liars. I'm done with it. So I'm very, I can be bombastic. I can be direct and be honest. And if you follow me on X, you see I'm very bombastic. Bombastic. Am I saying that right? I'm direct. I'm honest. And that's who I am because I've learned throughout the years that's who you need to be to basically survive in any kind of climate. You have to be honest. And if you're not honest, or if a person's not being honest with you, in most cases, there's a reason they're not being honest. There's an agenda behind it. Human beings are complicated, but murder is not complicated. It's very cut and dry. It's done for a purpose. People murder because they want something out of that. People are inherently evil, but the subject of evil and murder and death is now right in our face, and free speech right in our face. Fascist dictators and communist governments, the first thing they do, or just dictators like Saddam Hussein, Pol Pot, it's more kind of throwback guys. They'll just kill you in front of everybody, live on video or record it. Al Qaeda, ISIS, cut your throat on video. They will publicly execute you in front of the world. That's their thing. So when you see a tactic like what happened, I watched what happened yesterday. Make no mistake. Sorry, I have so many thoughts in my head. Make no mistake, this was a public execution to send a message. And what message was that? It's becoming clear this morning that we might know or get close to knowing what that message was. So it's really now this issue. Okay, we had, carjackings, murders in Chicago, murders in Oakland. I mean, Oakland, which I like to cover, had about 12 murders in 3 weeks. It's wild shit, man. People are getting killed in Oakland like almost every day, and they just don't care. It's fine. I mean, the politicians, but I mean, it's not fine, but I'm just saying, what are you going to do at this point? But clearly there's very good people working against that in Oakland. So I don't want to undermine those efforts, but I'm just saying that's happening also in other Democrat controlled cities that are publicly resisting change. They're resisting peace. So if I come in and say, I want to help you bring crime down, if a person does that and you say, no, crime's fine, but people are getting murdered every day, that's called, well, either you're stupid, which could be, or disingenuous, which probably is the truth, or you just don't fucking care and you're all about yourself. So anyway, crime is clearly not down when there are public executions going on in our country. Clearly, this was a political assassination, and that's becoming clear. With social media and with the speed of information, I don't think we're ever going to have a situation where, like with JFK, where we don't know the truth unless it is held back from us by our government. Butler is an example of that. Both of Trump's assassins, that truth is being held from us, withheld. Somehow the government, for some reason, is doing that. And we're just going to have to work with it and live with it. But it is connected. I mean, we're having assassination attempts and then now successful assassinations. But I heard a sports pundit say today, which I thought was really poignant, that was a public execution. And it made me think when leaders, dictators, communist regimes, and I'm not saying our leaders, I'm just saying in general, when a regime wants to take over, they publicly execute the ones not that are the strongest. They will execute the ones that are not the most controllable, because you can use strong people that are controllable. No, they will execute the biggest voices. So if you look back in history, Pol Pot, I know Putin's done it, but it's not been publicly. He does it behind the scenes. Saddam Hussein was very famous for it. Gaddafi. Those guys would just take you out on the streets and kill you. Hamas does that. ISIS. So for those of you that are jazzed about supporting Hamas, first of all, you're a lunatic and you have no idea what you're talking about. You just don't. But second of all, you'd be the first one they'd take out because your voice is too strong. So those protesters that protest for Hamas in this country have no clue that if they went there to do it, they'd be the first ones to be killed on video. And they will send that video to your families, or they will pull your families out, and that's what to watch it. And that's what they did with Charlie Kirk. So whoever is doing this just has the signs to me of a political assassination strictly because of his voice and his speech. And I think, who knows, but maybe we'll find out. But my thought is, why Charlie Kirk? Well, I think because he was just the most accessible at the time. Why, out in the open, going to college campuses, telegraphing his moves. There is the security at college campuses is clearly not strong. And I've watched some I've watched some debates on that this morning. And it's pretty clear that if you go to and we've known this for years, if you go to a college campus and you are a voice they don't want to hear, and it's happened to liberals too, but mostly conservatives or comedians during the woke, they will be vicious and threaten you to try to shut you down. There have been activists that have been attacked at college campuses. It happens all the time. Violence at college campuses, the 60s, a lot of violence there. Violence occurs there, political violence. But also, activists swarm these places because that's where minds are young and fresh and impressionable. So it is a war, an information war, a war for ideas. But going back to why a dictator or someone will publicly execute you is simply because your voice is too loud, is too strong. It's not because you're physically strong or that you can lead people. No, it's the fact that you can influence people for generations if your voice is not silenced. Now, with the internet, it's quite crazy if you think about how this is a game-changing moment in American history, because everyone can see how brutal and how vicious this slaughter of Charlie Kirk was. And it will be forever in the annals of history digitized. Unfortunately for his family and friends, it will be accessible online, but there are other unfortunate public executions that are accessible online. I'm sorry, we cannot prevent that. But I think it's important for people to see what will happen to you if socialism continues to pervade our young people. But it's more than that. There is a sense that evil is not evil. And people will act out in evil, heinous, emotional ways inappropriately to the wrong thing when they're stimulated because it's in them. There is a culture of murder and death in our young people right now. It's quite chilling. One of the things that we are seeing, and now we're seeing it more because conservatives are reposting it, is the people celebrating on TikTok. And that graphic is graphic's old, so let me change that. Sorry, guys. It's not today, yesterday. Let's just change that. We're just live. It's live. Let's go live. Save that. Fixed. So the TikTokers, and the Instagrammers. So there are people on Instagram, mostly young people right now, that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. They're dancing, they're cackling, they're doing weird demonic celebrations. Some of them are saying they're witches. Look, I'm a former hairdresser. I love colored hair, but there's something strange about they have all different they all have the same style. Weird colored hair, which, look, I used to do that kind of colored hair, but was never on people that were bankrupt morally. It was just really cool, trendy people. Now it's not trend. Now if you see that kind of hair on somebody, it's almost like a warning sign. It's weird. It actually is weird. It used to be cool and trendy because cool hip people. I used to do it on really beautiful hip people, that were normal people. Now the crazies are just this like kind of a way to like say, I'm a crazy left-wing nut job, watch out for me. So they in the piercings and all these things, the tattoos on their faces. Look, I've tattoos. I'm not opposed to tattoos, but I'm just saying there's a style and a look that is it's the overtly I'm very poor and I want to be rebellious and I can't manage my money look because I spend it on weird shit on me. I mean, look, if you're broke and you're in a trailer and you got 75 tattoos, that's probably $7,500, you could have used to make your life better. So, you shouldn't get things you should not do these things unless you can afford them. It's a tangent, but it's always been a thing for me. But my point is that if you have evil in you and you love death, you're going to react to death in like a celebratory way. And so we're seeing all this, and I'm interested in it. I think I might do a series called roasting the psychos, which right now it's a little too early, but I think because a lot of it's disturbing. As I'm watching, I mean, I have a TikTok where I roast people, real Jason J, roast sports stars, not people, but roast sports stars because they're privileged and all these things, and they can handle it. They're successfully and they're rich, and it's a lot of fun. And people kind of enjoy poking fun at selfish athletes, right? But these people have done they're posting videos that are so staggeringly disturbing that there's a part of me that finds them funny when I look at how weird they are and just the crazy stuff that's going on in these videos. But then when I hear the words they're saying and the look in their eyes and the dancing and the just the weird orgasmic celebrations for some of these people, and some of them are military, and some of them have 1 million followers on TikTok. And there's also professional people that are doing this. And unfortunately, the woke reversal is now happening because there actually are companies and hospitals posting responses saying, we don't agree with this. We don't believe in this. This is toxic. And they're firing people overnight because they're posting things. They're posting that they're excited about the murder of a young man and a father. But back to public executions, that's the point of public executions. These forces, whoever is doing this, now clearly they can't get to the president, so they're going to get to people underneath him because it affected him. Let me go back to my point. But the reason for where I was going with this, the reason for the public executions is it does two things. One, well, it terrifies people. That's what Saddam Hussein used to do. He would terrify people through the public executions and bringing people down to a level where they will show you who they're really made of at those last moments. So there's a psychology to it, because if there's somebody that has a loud voice and that person is railing against the government or against evil forces, and then you put a gun to that person's head and they have only moments to live, you'll see the real side of them. You'll see if they're brave or cowardly or whatever. You can't control what comes out of you in that situation. So that's the real you. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that they will have you humiliated and you will be a coward in those last moments, and then they will kill you and you'll be an embarrassment to your family and all these things. It's so there's that effect, right? The terrifying the populace. But then there's the other effect, which has also happened. We're seeing both, is that the lunatics in the death cult that love murder come out of the woodwork. So I know that people are afraid of, they're not people, I'm sorry. There are people saying that they're afraid that now the Republicans are going to start reacting in violence. Have you seen that at all in the last 16 hours? No, because we don't do that. I'm a conservative. I am now going to be a Republican. I'm going to re-register. So I'll say us. We don't do that because we have more money, more to lose. We're not broke and lunatic. I mean, there's a certain class of people that like to go violent. And liberal policies have created that class of people. And I'm talking about the broke and the disenfranchised and angry people that feel like they don't have a voice, especially the incels and all these people, which you're seeing on social media, the people that don't really have any friends except for their phone. They're the ones that are more apt to do these things, or at least not really understand what they're saying, because there are consequences, fiscally. You're going to get fired for celebrating murder. I mean, I think that's nuts to celebrate murder, but people are doing it. But there's a point to what the Democrat Party has done, and the Democrat Party. I have so many things to say, but you can probably agree with this. They're DOA right now. The Democrat Party died with Charlie Kirk. That's it. So they know they can't win elections. That's a whole nother story. The midterms are over. I mean, it's been one disaster after another the last 3 months for them. And then now this. What's interesting is Gavin Newsom has finally shut his fucking mouth, which is nice. It's unfortunate that someone had to be murdered publicly for Gavin Newsom to shut up, but he finally did, because there's a clip of him saying, we need to punch people in the mouth. We need to punch and hurt conservatives. We need to fight them. I'm sick of this. You can watch the video. It's him being, this little coward soy boy, rich, spoiled brat who never worked a day in his life, getting up and talking tough. Well, people are really killing people violently. So there you go, Gavin. Like, there are consequences, man, to all this rhetoric. Where I was going with this is that the fear is like, oh, Republicans are going to do. No, this, my concern is more lunatics will continue to pick up this murder path and try to do more of these. That's what I think is the biggest problem, because it's not the people that have something that's going to hurt you. It's people that have nots. The have-nots that are going to hurt you. And that's why Trump and the work he's doing to make the economy better, I think, is super important. More than just so that we all have more money and we can live better and people have food and the babies have what they need. It's because it keeps violence from hitting the streets. Violence hits the streets when people feel voiceless, especially when their bellies are empty. But if you have a force that is coming in and murdering conservatives publicly on the internet and in front of 3,000 people, I mean, if you take away, sorry, let me finish what I'm saying. I'm trying to be better about finishing my thoughts, because I go back and watch my shows sometimes, and I'm like, hey, Jason, finish that thought. But back to my point is, the public executions have so many different purposes. So and none of this happens in a vacuum, and that's kind of the concern that a lot of people have, is, was this orchestrated? A lot of strange things happened, but it also could be that the internet and phones magnifies everything that happens. So we go, okay, we're seeing all these things in real time, and then we see them later on, and we try to put the pieces together and go, well, that's weird. What does this mean? Sometimes a murder is just a murder, but in this case, it was a highly publicized figure that was close to the president. This is what I was saying earlier. This reached the White House. I mean, this was an attack on the White House and an attack on the MAGA movement, and attack on his movement, Charlie Kirk's movement, and all these things. And that, I think, is an important thing to understand, is that public murder like this and execution has so many layers to it. And it's pretty clear now. Sorry if I'm all over the place, guys. I have so many thoughts in my head. But it's pretty clear now that in the aftermath today, day 2, and that's why I'm online, so we can talk about these things, because I appreciate the thousands of views that I'm receiving and the new followers, over 100 followers in the last week. I appreciate you guys on X and obviously YouTube. But we want to talk about the aftermath. So they did ID the shooter in a surveillance photo. He looks like a skinny, thin little soy boy. If that's who it is, it does not look like a guy that's a tough guy. But guns make people tough, I guess. They think it does. FBI's released that. They also said they found the rifle, which is an older rifle, and all these things. There's a picture circulating. Interesting. They found the rifle in the woods. So apparently the guy took the rifle down and put it in the woods, but he's still at large. He's still at large, and he's still not in custody, which is interesting. But look, it's a big world. Not everybody's on the grid. People that plan these things understand how to stay off the grid, not carry a cell phone with them, hopefully. For them, that's what they're thinking, that they're gonna, that these are their wishful thinkings, that hopefully they won't be geo-tracked. The surveillance videos which is so weird. Still, they say they're grainy when we all have 4K. I don't understand that. Clearly, the guy got on the roof, so there's questions on that. If I walked into a college campus, I'm not even sure how I'd get on the roof, right? You could probably think the same thing. But if you've been there a number of times, if you live in the area, you have access to it. So there's ways that the FBI can go, okay, we can look at this reasonably, like the person's got to still be here. There's rumors that a jet took off that was a private jet. That's not confirmed. There's even rumors saying that Israel might have been involved. That's Israel. Netanyahu went on Fox today and basically said, hey, it wasn't us, in so many words, which I thought was interesting. So there's those rumors. There's rumors that, the news media had articles queued up on the 9th, the day before he was killed. I just, that somebody had a book published at Amazon that said the shooting of Charlie Kirk, some sort of graphic, like a book that's to be written, but it was posted the day before. There's a picture of a guy celebrating when the shot goes off. Everybody goes down, but one guy is doing this demonic, weird celebration, clearly in front of the cameras and everybody. Clearly, possibly, if there was another shooter, you'd be making yourself a target or another shot coming. So people look at that going, that's weird. Clearly, I think that is somebody you should have a conversation with. But again, people react differently to violence and death. The guy was looking right at it. He saw Charlie go down, and he started doing his thing. It's guys like Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump for sure, Elon Musk now, J.D. Vance. Some of these people bring out Ben Shapiro, and I'm not a follower or a fan of Ben Shapiro, but I know who he is. I mean, I'm aware, but I don't watch him on a regular basis. But I'm sure I agree with most of what he says. I suppose, I don't know. But these are people that bring out crazy people. They bring out nut jobs, right? And there are people that celebrate death. It's just the way it is. Most of these people on TikTok are young people that are doing the weird celebrating death and the weird tribal things they have, or they're walking around on Instagram just yelling at their phone and da 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 da. And it's interesting because I have thousands of followers on Instagram, and I follow a certain amount of people back because of the industries I'm in, which is I'm a former hairdresser and I'm also an actor in the entertainment industry. So I do a lot of different things. So you can imagine that those groups might be very left-leaning. And they are, but they aren't. I mean, it's like every other group. But I happen to be following some people, so I decided to go through and watch the stories of people I don't normally watch. And I was pleasantly surprised that most of the people that I follow were appalled, horrified, feeling terrible for him as a human and his family. I'll just give it to you on like the percentage. Out of 100%, 85 to 90% of people either didn't say anything on their Instagram, which hats off to you, or what they said was, hey man, it's a human, dad, like, stop with the politics. This is a terrible tragedy. Or there were people that outright were angry at this, or people that were supportive of his wife and children, which you have to be. You have to be. And then 15% maybe, or 10 were people I don't normally follow, or I follow but don't normally watch, and they were saying the most despicable stuff. So I unfollowed a few of them because I just was looking at the spirit of it, because in some cases people are brainwashed. And they'll post a meme that there's a meme that became popular I guess he said some things about about shootings and gun control, and that there's a certain amount of death that you have. I'm paraphrasing, but there's a certain amount of collateral damage that has to be accepted when a society has guns and in exercising their right to protect themselves. A clip that I didn't know exists, or I didn't see a clip, but it's like words only written. Didn't hear him, haven't seen a video. I didn't know it existed. And if it's taken out of context, it's just confusing. It's not even like a bad quote. It's just confusing. But if you're a mature adult and you're not a lunatic that absorbs yourself in sci-fi and cartoons and anime and foolish things all day, you could look at that and go, okay, it's taken out of context. I can see the point. If you've lived a little, you're going to be open-minded. Okay, we have our opinion. Here's where I'm going with this is the people that I saw, and a lot of the people that I saw in other feeds, but on my feed especially, the people that were happy about it were saying he said these words. They're posting the words about gun violence, and he deserves it because he said these words. So he's going to live by the sword, die by the reap what you saw. These things, isn't it ironic? People laughing about it. Now, I saw one person that was vicious on my feed. I unfollowed him because it's not worth it. Cool, you do you. You're going to be a broke motherfucker. You cannot be going anywhere in life celebrating death. It just doesn't happen unless you're making movies about horror, and that's all fantasy anyway. So, if you're really loving real death, you got problems. Okay, but my point is that you cannot find anywhere online Charlie Kirk doing anything on video terrible to someone, saying anything very, very hostile or threatening, or actually evidence that the guy was a violent, threatening person. So the people celebrating his death are celebrating his death simply because he said words that they didn't like. He died because he said words. He died because he had massive potential to continue to say words. Free speech will kill you in this environment if you don't have your head on a swivel, or if it's just an impossible thing to avoid. And for him, he was putting himself out there. He was very vulnerable. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine last night. You can watch last night's show. She talked about that, the vulnerability that conservatives, have to take on themselves in order to affect change. It is part of the situation. You have to be vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there. And the person I was talking to, she is somebody that does that. I told her, be careful. So I just, I'm not going to report news to you per se because you can see it. I'll just give you the highlights. But I wanted to make those points is that the people that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death like demons, I'm not someone to get overly spiritual, but if there's ever a demon in a person, I would assume it would come out when they see a vicious death that's bloody and they get, ooh, there's weird gyrations. I can't explain the weird gyrations I'm seeing. It's just, it's so just, it's like watching a horror movie and I want to turn it off because when I watch these TikTokers, now the Instagrammers are a little different there because it's a different platform. So they're more, I'm smart and I can justify me enjoying this death because he said words. It's wild. And then they say he's all these, you can imagine the list of things. It's wild. But the one thing you're seeing on my screen that I have not made a thing of yet, and I'm going to talk about that, and I rarely talk about this, but we're going to have to now, is the fact that it's more than, see, these people say they're celebrating his public execution and murder, assassination, because he opposed trans rights and he opposed gun control and he opposed, I guess he was, he's very pro-life. All these things, he was very honest about the racial divisions in our country. Okay, I don't know. I just feel like if he had said some things, and again, I wasn't a fan that followed him, That's what's so crazy. It affected me, and I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of patriots in the United States, and I am a conservative. So I haven't seen any videos of him saying the things that these people that are celebrating are claiming he said. And again, if he even said half of this stuff, you don't kill people for words. You don't kill people for words. You just don't do it. That's not normal shit. And it's not normal behavior to get on the internet and have an orgasm over someone being murdered, number one, or two, someone being murdered over words. DeCarlos Brown, who killed that poor lady, young Ukrainian refugee on the 22nd of August, he killed her for nothing. She didn't say one word to him. So you don't have to be even killed for words. You can be killed for just existing, and you're the wrong person at the wrong time that represents something to that lunatic. So it's a culture of death, and politicians thrive on that. I won't even get into how sad the liberal response has been. In the beginning, it was very strong, but now it's turned into lukewarm, watered down, because a lot of these people that give them money love death. The politicians on the liberal side are funded by people that enjoy war and murder and death, and they're just giving more money to what we missed yesterday. They just, I think, approved $9 billion more to Ukraine for war. I mean, our government is the war machine's kicking up. It's just the truth. It's Congress. Whether it's Trump or not, I don't know, but it's a reality. But our Congress, the AOC, Schumer, Jeffries, all these people can't be honest that this is brutal. It's crazy. Like, we all know it's brutal. We all know it's disgusting, but they won't come out and say it. They're just like, like Obama said, we don't know what the cause of this was, but we condemn it. Really? So if you knew the cause and you agreed with it, would you not condemn it? I mean, it's nuts, man. Barack Obama on his Twitter account said, we still have to know what the reason was. We're not sure of it. But at this point, I'm going to say I'm not happy about it. It's work. These people are so wrapped up in continuing their grift and keeping their money going that if they even act normal, the normal lunatics that are funding all of their things and giving money to these lunatic campaigns and showing up at the rallies, they'll lose these people, because these people that they are pandering to are really destructive psychopaths. They are. And when you're up there dancing and saying he deserved it, you're a psychopath. There's teachers and nurses and professional people, military, that are just, they felt free enough to post this. And look, I'm not about deplatforming anybody. I'm not about people getting fired. I'm not about that. I know people are. I'm not about that, because I don't think you do that. I think you let people talk. I want to hear how weird you are. If you have demonic tendencies and you love murder, I need you to say that so I can avoid you. So I don't want any, I'm not about tamping down speech. I do think that violent rhetoric must be stopped, but I also have to uphold the constitutional principle that if you want to speak something that is reprehensible, you have the right to do it. It's a two-way street, unless it's fire in a theater. And the Democrats have been saying there's fire in the theater for months. So that's a conversation. Responsible speech and free speech are conversations. What is the line? If Charlie Kirk says, hey, it's acceptable to have gun violence deaths at a certain percentage because the population has guns and that's just the way it is, humans are bad, there's going to be things, that's not an executable thing to say. If he says that he is he's against abortion at all levels, which is a radical thing, I'm not even against it in certain situations. You have to be open. But for somebody to say that, that's not a murderable offense. Isn't that ironic? People that want abortion to be available, like you go up to a candy machine and order one, people that want it that available are also wanting excited about public execution. Do you see the point here? And maybe I'm not saying it eloquently, maybe I'm stumbling over my words, but the death cult is so real. It is a real thing. There are people that are looking for murder. They're looking for pain and suffering. They enjoy it. They profit from it. So, I'm just going to talk about the last thing I'm going to say for the next couple of minutes, because I'm going to wrap up in a few. I didn't want to be on too long. And I just wanted to make those points that anytime a communist wave comes, a socialist wave comes to a country, and make no mistake, the Democrats are now unabashedly becoming the party of the socialist party. That's the only way to go now, because they're not even close to being moderate. So in order for that to take hold, you must have these political violence, these things that are politically violent happen. That's just part of the formula. So that's one of the things I wanted to bring up. And the other thing is, Charlie Kirk died because he spoke words. There's no justifying a brutal murder of a young man because of words. So that's why it's important for us, me and you, to use our words, to speak our mind. And that's how the country will move forward in peace, if we're all able to speak our mind. Freedom of the press, free speech, really critical. It's very critical. And we're seeing how important it was. Look, back in the day, I don't know if that's true or not. It's just what they tell me in the history books. But this kind of stuff would happen all the time. And that's why we became our own country, because of the persecution in England. If we believe the stories, who knows? We weren't there. We just got to take their word for it. But the one thing I'm not going to tolerate is a lunatic telling me that I can't say what I need to say because they're going to, the threat of violence. But you have to be vulnerable if you want your ideas to be out there in the world. And look, responsible speech is up to you, but you cannot. And yes, celebrating a murder is a form of free speech, but it's just the worst. It's toxic. It's terrible. Look, I want you guys to do it so I can see you coming and I can block you and get rid of that negativity. There's always going to be that. All right, the last thing I want to say is I want to bring up the trans activist thing. There's clearly a problem with transgender shooters, violent transgender people. We've seen this. We've seen politicians wear shirts with guns and knives on them, protect the trans community, all these things. But they've lost. Under Biden, they were brutalizing children, and they were doing terrible things to children and the babies because there were unhinged parents that are so drunk on the mind virus and so poisoned by liberal propaganda that they were just and confused just by what has gone on with activism when it comes to gender, that they're not able to make up their own choice for themselves, so they put it on their children, which is so dastardly and so insidious. So we've got, and then Hollywood has done this. A lot of famous Hollywood actors have their kids, they have transgenderized their children. You are doing this to your children. Let me just be honest. If you're a parent that is transitioning a child is waking up wanting to eat cereal, watch cartoons. A child wants to play with a child is not thinking about their genitals and being transitioned at 5, 6, 7, 8. You're fucking crazy. That's mentally ill to do that. I'm sorry. You're mentally ill. Okay? If a child is old enough to be transitioned at that age, then give them a beer, give them a cigarette, put them in the military, and give them a gun. Because as far as I'm concerned, until you're 18, you don't even know what's going on with your sexuality at 18. But until you're 18 and you can make your own choices, your parents need to stay off your. I don't want to be weird, or I don't want to be controversial, but your parents. There's certain things that parents need to do for children. Let's just say this: when they're under 18, and the last thing they need to do is butcher their genitals. Sorry. Okay? Sorry. That's normal, guys. It's fucking normal. I'm sorry. It's fucking normal because these are babies. And a lot of these people have never had babies that are doing this, or they adopt babies. And, sorry, it's weird. So my point is, the Trump administration has come in, and the tide is changing because people have been looking at statistics, and normal people are going, I didn't realize this was going on, honestly. I didn't until last year that how much this was going on to children. I didn't realize that hospitals were opening up departments for this. I didn't know that. So when I knew that, I realized, well, that's nuts. Like, there's certain things that are nuts. You just know they're nuts because we shouldn't be nuts. But you have people that have an agenda, that make money off these things. Sometimes it's all about the money. Who's making money on these things? They're making money on these things. Some people are very twisted. Some people are very perverted. And this has become a thing. I'm not saying transgender folks are perverted. I want to create a clear distinction. I'm saying a parent that decides to change their child's gender, that is a perversion, in my opinion. So you can turn me off, you can delete me and get all mad, whatever. It's just words. If those words make you mad, you're a weak-minded person. And that's the problem. When somebody like Charlie Kirk says words and then a lunatic wants to kill him because of those words, that person that wants to kill is a weak-minded motherfucker, because violence, unless it's in a combat sport and you've been trained for it, violence outside of those respectable things is just weakness. Men commit violence and have anger problems because they're weak on the inside. No one taught them to be a real man. A real man stands up in front of a gun like Charlie Kirk did. He knew he was in front of a gun all the time, man. He knew that could happen, but he was still bold, and he was still fresh, and he was unafraid. Unfortunately, he was murdered yesterday because of it. So back to the trans situation. I know transgender folks, and I love them in my world, and they're wonderful people. They've made choices for themselves as adults. I have no problem with your choices once you're 18. I support that. I don't support somebody using their power as a parent to destroy the future of a child. That's what I don't support. So I think that's normal. I'm a parent. I have more than one child. I'll just say that. I've been through multiple children, times where you more than once, I'll just say it this way, where I have to coach my children and be there for them. The last thing they needed me to worry about when they were 7, 8, 9 is their sexuality. It's just nuts. It's nuts. It's nutty. And if you think that I'm wrong and you have had an experience where it worked out for you and your parent transitioned you when you were 7, 8, or 9, then hey, hats off to you. Cool. All I got to say is we have a generation of very angry children now that have been put on all these meds. Their hormones have been fucked up. Their genitals have been removed in surgery, or they've had surgeries, things, their breasts. I'm bringing it home. Work with me here. Because beyond their control. So they grow up, and then we've all done this. Who doesn't grow up and hate their parents when you're 15 or 16, right? So imagine growing up under that trauma of that being done to you, and then realizing, wait a second, I'm now 13 or 14 and I can't fix this shit. It's staggering to see that now this is what's happening. So I'm not saying all of them are. I'm just saying we're trying to figure this out, guys. But we have to be honest that the trans activist violence is now a thing that we cannot ignore. So I'm going to talk about it because I don't want to ignore it, because I think it's irresponsible. Because we just had a couple of weeks ago a shooter, a transition young adult, who there are stories that the young adult was very upset over the transitioning, all these things. Then we also have a year or so ago, there's been a lot of transgender young people snapping and murdering children. Don't you think there's a reason why they target children? Because they lost that. That was stolen from them. So they're going to steal it back. Their identity was taken from them against their will. I'm sorry, if your child is 7 and they come to you and they say, I want to be a woman, but they're a boy, or I want to be a girl, cool, dress them up like a girl, do whatever, but don't change their fucking genitals and don't put drugs in them. Let them cosplay as a girl. And then tomorrow they're going to cosplay as Wonder Woman. Then they're going to be Dracula. Then they're going to be Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Kids are going to cosplay to be something they're not because they want to. That's what kids do. So it's you have look, maybe I'll get canceled for this, but whatever. You got problems. If the biggest thing on your mind is, does my 5-year-old what genitals I mean, you got problems, man. You got problems. And that's between you. You do you, but things are changing. So I think because they've lost at the ballot box, and now we have this group generation that's super angry because of what their families did to them. Now we have violence. Now we have the lashing out. Because also, keep this in mind, the trans activists and the trans medical community have made billions off of this. The pharmaceutical companies. So now we're having this reaction. Now, it's not all about that. So I'm not trying to, but I think these folks that are very easily manipulated are being used as tools to carry out political damage and murder. Nobody knows the answers, and we're all just speculating, and so you have to give me grace to speculate. So today, the rifle had trans activist rhetoric on it. I mean, and if you watch the video, he was killed. At the moment, they started talking about trans shooters. That's when he was killed. It makes sense to me that this person was waiting for that topic to come up and killed him to make a point. So, again, rest in peace, Charlie. His family is devastated. The vice president is out there with them, and they're going to fly the body back on Air Force Two to Arizona, where he lives, for his funeral. That's going to be quite an incredible emotional thing. Hopefully it'll be televised. You never know. I would like to pay my respects by watching. But again, if you're joining late, I'm not a Charlie Kirk fan. I was not against him, but I wasn't necessarily a fan. I kind of tuned him out, because I thought, okay, he's more for a young person's guy. His style is not quite my style, but cool, right on. He's, but when he died so viciously, slaughtered like a sacrifice to these demon gods yesterday, it changed me like it changed all of us. The world will not be the same. The country won't be the same. His name now is going to be up there with other powerful leaders of movements. Charlie Kirk had a movement. He was turning the young people back to God, back to Jesus, and also back to conservative traditional values. And so I'm inspired by that. I'm a spiritual guy, but I'm not leaning to Christianity so much like I used to. But this has opened my eyes. It's weird. It's a whole nother show. So in a strange way, I feel optimism for the future, even though his future was cut down. I just hope I hope the violence stops. We all hope that, but no one can see the future. And there are a lot of angry people in the Bible Belt. So keep that in mind. We'll talk about that. I just don't think people understand how much of a problem this is going to be for the Democrats in the next 2 years. They're not winning any elections. It's over. So now maybe we'll see more of this because of the desperation. I don't know. But anyway, God bless you. Go with God. Hopefully this made sense. I just want to jump on and, let your heart not be troubled. It's interesting when in the Bible, when Mary was, the angel came to Mary and said, I bring you good tidings of great joy. Is that what it is? You're going to have baby Jesus. The Bible says she was very terrified, right? But the angel's like, hey, it's cool. I got something good to tell you, even though it's a terrifying moment. So that scripture occurred to me today. It was like, I bring you, there's great tidings of great joy in the future, even though we're terrified. It's a terrifying moment. But look, the guy believed that God could use anything for his glory. And clearly, hopefully this will be a turning point for a lot of people to see the power of free speech and being strong in the face of death. It's not easy to see, but it was important that we saw that. unfortunately, for so many reasons. And if you're a normal person with a heart, that terrified you, it hurt you, and it changed you as a person. If you're a person that's has a demonic entity that loves death inside you, I'm not talking you love horror movies. I'm talking you love actual death and murder against innocence. Well, that came out of you too, and we saw it. Whatever you put on the internet for the last 24 hours, we know what you're about. We know what you're about. So too late. You put it out there, you dumb idiots. But anyway, God bless you. Go with God. I might broadcast again over the weekend. We have some shows coming up that are going to be, obviously this changed the world, so this is what I'm talking about. But I do TV, movies, and sports. Thursday night football's tonight. Real Jason J. Daniel. If you follow me on TikTok, I do sports. We're going to go live and talk. We're going to talk football tonight, which would be good. I don't do it on the podcast, but I do it live on TikTok, which we have a lot of people there that does that. So God bless you guys. Go with God. Be safe. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Thousands of views. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. And the last few days have been awesome for me to see everyone really pulling together, like in the world. So for all the negativity, it's like 10 times more positivity and people heartbroken and people saying, how do we move past this? How do we find peace? A lot of people are saying, how do we find peace? So please follow and sub, and I appreciate that. Jason J. Daniel, obviously everywhere, and Real Jason J. Daniel on TikTok if you're interested in sports, just sports on TikTok. God bless you guys. Love you. Take care. Be safe, please.